swag out there and boss. Look, is that bow tie paisley? Ah, you're a killer.
And welcome to the Sartorial
Ooh,
podcast by Webster Style, where we talk about bow ties, comic books, and everything between. I am your host, Webster Style, the man, the voice, the fragrance. Coming at you again with another episode. I want to thank you for joining me, and let's go right into it. This week, I want to talk about the download. I want to talk about a couple of things. One, last week's download, Child of Light, if you have an Xbox at the time of this recording, and that's going to be May 4th, is currently on sale for just a low price of $4.79 US. So if you were interested in the game, and again, if you have an Xbox platform, check it out. Download it for less than probably what most everyone spends at Starbucks, and obtain it for your own and find a very good game, a quote-unquote modern-day masterpiece in my opinion, especially if you're into role-playing games. So definitely check that out if you still have time to. And with that as well, I want to talk about another game for the download, one that is very near and dear to my heart. Not just the game itself, but also the general property that it is based off of. Now, one of the things that this year, or I should say the past year, really robbed us of was a whole slate of movies that was coming out. We had a whole slate of Marvel films that ultimately got pushed back to this year. A bunch of other movies that ended up on streaming platforms like Coming to America, so on and so forth. But one of those movies that a lot of people in, I wouldn't say just my demographic, but a lot of people in my demographic, just people in general, but was Ghostbusters Afterlife. After the abysmal reception that Ghostbusters, the reboot remake, received, what is it, in 2016, fans have always been clamoring for a proper Ghostbusters 3 from the original team. And even though, and for whatever reason, the actor who played Egon's name escapes me at the moment, he passed away a few years ago, which ultimately, nixed any possibility of a real, true Ghostbusters 3. Afterlife is probably the closest film adaptation we're ever going to get to a proper sequel to the original franchise. And I say that because film franchise, specifically a film adaptation, because we did actually get a Ghostbusters 3. And I forget the exact year, but in the last, I guess it's 2 generations ago of consoles, video game consoles, we had the fantastic Ghostbusters, the video game that came out on the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, probably GameCube as well era, and that game was nothing short of amazing. It featured the voice cast of all of the original Ghostbusters, and any postage you need. It was written by the original screenwriters, Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis. Got it right. So it really was written as a quote-unquote third Ghostbusters movie. And that game really fit the bill. So Ghostbusters Afterlife had never come out. I, as a Ghostbusters fan, would always be satisfied with the fact that, and one of the things that I never really got the chance to do, I guess I've always had the chance to do, was to actually purchase the game. And I never did that time. I was using GameFly at the time that I played it, and I beat it, and I loved it, and I returned it, and didn't think twice about it. Well, about a year or so ago, maybe, the company behind the game, and I want to say it's Activision, I don't remember off the top of my head, but they remastered the game for then current generation systems. So the game has been brought up to full HP, shinier graphics. And for me, I was like, I don't know if I want to buy it. I'm not too keen on buying remasters, especially when you're asking for $30 for the game, especially when, at least with the Xbox series, the original game is backwards compatible. So I would have bought the original game to purchase that. Well, now, at the time of this recording, The game is on sale for, I think it's like $7.50 or something like that on the Xbox platforms. But I say not just because it's on sale after so much thought about the very exquisite game that it was. I have very fond memories. It was such a great game to play through, and I can't say that about many games. So Ghostbusters, the video game remastered, is available for all current platforms, and I definitely say it's, if you are a Ghostbusters fan and if you're a child of the 80s like myself, then you should definitely pick up Ghostbusters the video game remastered. Even at full price of $30, I think it is well worth your money, even compared to a lot of other flashier, more expensive AAA games are out there. It's a game that you're going to spend your $30 and you're actually going to enjoy. The jokes are funny, the quips, the interaction of the cast. It was really like nothing ever happened. You got the band back together to do a third Ghostbusters movie. And that's really what it is. So Ghostbusters video game remastered is our gaming download. And then our comic download is, if you have been following the podcast, will be no surprise, and that is The Last Witch. Issue 5 is out on the 5th of May, so this will come out on the 4th. You'll be able to pick it up on the 5th, and it is the ending of the first arc that we have from the team there. It is, I'm fortunate to read a preview copy of it. It is great. It is nothing short of what I've talked about before with the last podcast. The colors, the writing, everything's so vibrant. The team just creates this vivid world, and interesting to see in this battle, you know, some of the after effects when she comes across this witch. Does she win? Does she lose? Does she quote unquote turn to the dark side? You know, what is the fairies end game in all of this? You get little bits and pieces of all of these story threads as we finish this first arc. So I highly recommend you pick up The Last Witch issue 5 when it hits your favorite comic book shop or digital on May the 5th. So that's it for the download. Now, one of the things that I thought about with no Captain and Winter Soldier to really review anymore, and waiting until Black Widow and Loki is from the Marvel side, you know, what is it really to talk about for mine? I really was at a loss, like, what's going to be my main show topic? But then it hit me. I realized I've been a Doctor Who fan since I was a child. I grew up in Maryland, and Maryland showed Doctor Who on public television on Saturday nights. So for me, I really got my thirst for Doctor Who from watching Tom Baker, the Fourth Doctor, for the longest time, pretty much forever, until the new series debuted in 2005, I think it was. I would not watch Doctor Who if it wasn't Tom Baker. It was just so weird and foreign to watch any of the other Doctors, especially Hartnell. I'm still not a hugest fan of Hartnell. Hartnell's time, I should say, his episodes for me are quite boring. And that's me, my sense and sensibilities. I don't think the show hit its stride for me until the second Doctor, until Patrick Naughton came aboard. I think his episodes and how they wrote him, and not just that, the pacing just really picked up, and it got a whole lot more into those sci-fi elements, which I love. Well, the new Who, starting with Echelon, and then going to David Tennant, and then going into Matt Smith. I absolutely love those. Those are series that are rewatchable. Echelon, again, Echelon 1, when you go back to it, it was really finding its way. And I would say New Who really didn't find its way until you really got to season 3 with David Tennant. I think it really hit its stride and really started to pick up, and then you get season 4 and it's just like hitting it out of the park on all cylinders. It was amazing. And Smith came in after that and really just kept the ball going until we got to David Capaldi, and that's where I really got to. So I was at one of my favorite establishments to find random geekiness, Dollar Tree, a few weeks ago, and they had in their bin of DVDs for $1. They had some Peter Capaldi era Doctor Who. Now, I will say, as much as I love Doctor Who, I have Doctor Who comics, I have Doctor Who tie, I have, box sets of Doctor Who, both Tennant and Matt Smith, and I will instantly pop them in and rewatch them if I have nothing better. So I ended up picking up, they had Series 8 split up into 2 parts here. They only had the part 2, and then they had I forget, they had one episode that they had released as just a kind of a standalone movie, and I forget what it was, and it was one of these episodes I wasn't that big of a fan on. But then I realized, I got home, I popped it in, I went straight to the final episodes, because one of the best things about Capaldi's run was the introduction of the female master, Missy, and I believe Michelle Rodriguez, I think her name is, I forget, or Michelle Gomez, that's what it is. She was the highlight of that series, in my opinion. She brought a certain panache and certain wickedness to the Master and the Master character that wasn't inherently evil as some of her male counterparts. And I forget his name, but more recently, the gentleman who played the Master during the David Tennant run, and I love him. I love what they did with the Master there. I just don't remember his name at the moment. But Michelle Gomez just really brought this malevolent wickedness, and almost a mischievous wickedness as well, to the Master, and so I absolutely love it. So I popped in those episodes, and upon watching them, I realized, at least in my opinion, these episodes aren't that fun to go and rewatch. There is a certain tone with Capaldi's era that, I don't know, just some of the fun was gone. The fun and excitement, especially on rewatching. And I feel like that is translated as well into Jodie Whittaker's era as well. One of the things with Tennant, with Echelon, with Smith, if they happen to show random episodes on BBC America, I would not hesitate to watch them, because they're usually just so much fun to watch. With a Capaldi era episode, nah, it won't happen. And I loved them when they came out at the time. For the most part, there was something about the Capaldi era that was missing. I think honestly, it was the end of his run, and especially the way that they handled Clara and the Clara character as a sidekick or a companion that certainly overstayed her welcome. I feel as though that really turned me off a lot. And then with the Jodie Whittaker incarnation, I just feel like once I see these episodes, there's no more to see. And especially with the revelations in The Timeless Child that I just didn't like. I'm not a big fan of retcons. I'm not a big fan of retconning 50 plus years of Doctor Who history per se. And the more I've dwelled on the ramifications of that episode and that storyline, as well as just things don't make sense when you have 50 years of canon that you were adhering to or acknowledging throughout the various runs of the new Who. It just, I don't know, it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Will I watch the new season when it comes out? Yes, of course I will. I'm a Doctor Who fan. But I don't rewatch it. It has become boring. So I ask you, the audience, when did Doctor Who become boring?
Surprise, surprise. You want to be fresh for the spring? Kirk, Elliot, Intentional. Tomato leaf, rose, and tea. Smells good.
Also, I would choose Narciso Rodriguez for Him EDT. It's got violet leaf, musk, patchouli, and amber. Kind of like a wet cement vibe. super dope, but it's decisive. It's one of those love or hated fragrances. Yeah.
And we're back. And those are some really good fragrances. And my apologies, I'm a big supporter of black-owned fragrance companies, and Kirk Elliot is just one of those brands I haven't gotten a chance to really support yet. But International sounds absolutely amazing, especially a tomato leaf in the opening. I'm looking forward to getting my hands on that for the spring. And with that, let's get to my fragrance of the week. And this is a fragrance that, there's some fragrances that you just have to stop yourself from wearing. And this is also another fragrance that I have seen compared to Creed Aventus. It is not a one for one, but as I've continued to wear it over the past year or so, I can understand why some people compare it to Creed or say it is similar quality, to Creed, because it is not one of those fragrances that strives to be a one-to-one imitation. It's something that gives you the Creed vibe, and that is Bergamot and Musk from Cremo company. And this is a fragrance that personally I really love. It is fresh. It has that bergamot opening. It has the middle notes of exotic fruits, and then it has a base of amber musk. And for me, it's an all-day performer. It is one of those ones that just it sits there, it unfolds over the course of the day. And again, it's very simple with its note breakdown. The bergamot in the opening just lasts so long. It is so good. It is so fresh. And the exotic fruits gives it a little bit of sweetness, a little bit of spiciness. Just a little bit, not a lot of spiciness. And then you get down to the amber musk, and it is something that it sits there. It is great when it comes to projection. It is great when it comes to mass appeal as well. So it's just one of those ones that it is going to be a great fragrance, and especially for the price. The Cremo fragrances, I have talked about them before. They are fragrances that I don't know how they get that sort of quality for such a low price. You'll find these mostly for about $22. Target, other stores, Walmart, their website. It's just one of those ones where, if you find it, get it, much like the black vanilla and spice, or spice and black vanilla. I always get the names screwed up. And it's a fragrance that you will definitely love, and for the price point, it puts fragrances 3 to 4 times the price to shame with the quality of the notes, but also the projection and the longevity. I will say I am very surprised, and was very surprised with the projection of bergamot and musk. It's just one of those fragrances that just lasts so long. And for me, it seems like, I don't know if it's the soap I'm using or something's different, but a lot of fragrances are lasting a lot longer on my skin over the past few months. And it's just fragrances that didn't perform that well before. And bergamot musk is not one of those fragrances, but it's just one of those things that they last a long time, and you get this good smell. And it's one of those fragrances that you smell all day. It's not a fragrance where you spray it, you smell it for a little bit, then you don't smell it anymore, and maybe until someone else makes a comment. No, you will smell bergamot and musk all day. And we're not even talking about overspraying, because this is not a fragrance that you want to overspray. So I highly recommend, especially if you're looking to start a collection and you're not trying to break the bank, especially at the top, and you're trying to just dabble, see what you like. That's definitely one that you should pick up from Cremo Company. It's nothing short of amazing for the price point, in my opinion. So that's that. So we have reached the end of another episode of the Sartorial and Geek podcast by Webster Style, where of course we talk about bow ties, comic books, and everything in between. I have been your host, Webster Style. Feel free to check us out on Instagram at Webster Style or at Sartorial and Geek. Find us on Twitter at Webster Style. Drop us an email, info@websterstylemagazine.com, and also find us on the web at our website, websterstyle.com or sartorialgeek.com. As always, I want to thank you for taking time out of your day to join us here as we get a little bit nerdy and get a little bit sartorial. Be careful out there, and don't forget, be blessed and
Swag
stay
out
safe.
them boss. Is that bow tie paisley? Ah, you're a killer.